Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Almost Martha. And we had a little snow today. We're snowed in. We have some construction going on. I'm redoing my bathroom finally. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a cake that I can, give to the workers tomorrow just to kind of help them through this. They're doing such a great job. They've been so terrific. My mom and dad used to do that. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. They used to do that whenever anybody came into their house to work. So I'm going to bake a cake that I can share with numerous people who are doing a great job here. And it's one of my favorite cakes. I really cannot believe that I haven't shared it with you up until now. This is a fantastic Southern living recipe. They called it extra rich chocolate cake. You could call it a Mexican chocolate cake. You could call it numerous things, but we call it our favorite chocolate cake. Our favorite chocolate cake. And the great thing about it is, you know how most cakes just dry out day after day? This cake gets more moist each day you let it sit. It's really remarkable. So hang with me and let's make my favorite chocolate cake, extra rich chocolate cake. We're going to use a mixer for this cake. So in my big mixing bowl, I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and I have 2 cups of sugar. I did use about 1.25 cups of sugar in the raw that I put in my blender so it would get to much smaller sugar crystals, and then the rest of it was regular granulated sugar. We're trying so hard to be better about these things, so I do what I can here and there. So I have my flour, I have my sugar, I have 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. I have 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. If you're using normal, regular salt, I would just use a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. I am using that diamond crystal salt, so I add a little more. So almost 2 teaspoons. And I have 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, maybe just a touch more because I do like cinnamon. So in it goes. And then I'm just gonna mix all this up to prepare for the next thing. Okay, that's all ready to go. Now we're going to move to the stove and prepare a nice little liquid that's going to go in here. All right, in my pan, I have 1 cup water, and I'm just going to start heating that up. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of butter. Let's put it right in that pan so that will get all melty. And I have 3 tablespoons of cocoa. So here you go. Whatever your favorite cocoa is. And now we are just going to bring this to a boil. So we're just sort of making this nice little chocolate sauce. And then we're just going to pour that right on our dry ingredients. Okay. So we're going to bring that to a boil. Okay, I have a boil. That means that this sauce is ready to go. I'm going to take the heat down. We're going to put this right into our dried mixture. I have my dried mixture, and now I'm just going to add in this lovely chocolate sauce. I'm just going to stir it up. Just because I want everything on the bottom to get mixed in before I turn on my mixer. Make sure everything on the bottom gets incorporated easily. We just want to beat this until it's nice and smooth. We'll give it a minute and then I'll give it a nice little stir. All right, we have some other ingredients that we need to fold in. I have 2 eggs. I don't trust myself with eggs. If you watch this show, you know that. I do what my mom does. I put them on the side, so in case a little piece of shell gets in there, you know, you can fish it out before it gets over there. So 2 eggs. I have a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. Buttermilk is always in any good chocolate cake. I'm telling you. So you got to keep a little buttermilk on hand if you want a good chocolate cake. I also have a 1/4 cup of very strong coffee. So I made an espresso, and then I actually added some Starbucks instant to it to make sure it was good and strong. And now I'm just going to fold this in too. I'm also going to add some vanilla. So about 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. You know me, I always like to add a lot of vanilla. All right, now this is where I went wrong the first time I made this cake. I looked at this batter and I said, there is no way that this batter is right. There is just no way, because the batter is thinner than any cake batter I have ever seen in my life. So this batter doesn't look like any other cake batter I've ever seen because it is super thin, super thin. So the first time I made it, I looked at it and I'm like, this can't be right. And I added more flour and I, made it look like I expected this batter to look like, and it really wasn't that great. So I said, I'm going to make it again and I'm going to make sure. And sure enough, if you just follow the recipe, almost Martha, if you just follow the recipe, then, it's going to be good. But look at that. You see how thin that is? I mean, that's no wonder I was a little worried, right? But this produces the best cake, the best cake. So fear not that it's thin. It's exactly the way that it should be. All right, we're just going to prepare our pan really quick. Now, in Southern Living, they tell you to use a jelly roll pan, which is like 15 by 10. It's longer, it's bigger. But I typically just use a normal pan like the, 9 by 13, simply because I like more cake than I like icing. It's a personal thing. I like more cake than I do icing. It's a good ratio. And this is a pan I've baked this cake in many, many a time. It turns out great. So if you don't want to do the jelly roll pan, that's, within their recipe, this is a great choice. I'm just going to use a little Baker's Secret because it does ask you to butter and flour your pan, which, thank goodness, we don't have to do now, thanks to this stuff. And now we're just going to pour this really thin batter right in here. It's almost like a crepe batter. It's so thin, but it's awfully good. Okay. And there is that magic. I don't know what makes it get moister. Maybe it's I don't know. I was going to say the icing I put in it, but it really does get more moist every day that it sits. So your cake on day 2, day 3 is going to be more moist than on day 1. It's really kind of incredible. See, Annie says it's incredible too. That's the only way she has to say it. It's just that, that one note. So she agrees with me. Yep, she does. She does. All right. So here's my cake. I'm going to put this in the oven, 350 degrees, and we'll wait till it's ready. We'll make a fantastic icing. And then over the next few days, man, we're going to love this cake. Well, once I put in a toothpick and it comes out clean, I know that my cake is done. This took about 21 minutes to get to this stage, and I cooked it, well, I baked it at a slightly lower temperature because my oven tends to run a little hotter. So this is good. We're gonna get ready for the icing, but we're gonna need to have this cool down a bit. We can't put icing on a super hot cake. So we'll let this cool and then we'll get our icing together. Our cake is done. It's slightly warm, but it's not super warm. So now we can start to work on our icing. The icing that I love to use with this cake starts on the stove. So this is what my mother would refer to as a cooked icing. Hi, Mom. And this was one of my favorite icings, as I said before. And the trick really here is on the stove. So you start with a half cup of butter, add a third of a cup of cocoa, and then a third of a cup of milk. Put it on the stove, bring it to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, reduce the heat, let it thicken maybe another minute, and then pull it off. Do not fret if the butter separates from the mixture. That's fine. It's all going to work out just fine. So bring it to a boil, reduce it, maybe a minute, no more than 2 minutes tops. You really don't want to go beyond that. Pull it off, and we'll go to the next step. All right, I just added what was in the saucepan into my mixer bowl, and I added 1 box of powdered sugar and 1 tablespoon of vanilla bean paste. You know I love my vanilla bean paste, and now I'm just mixing it all up together. Just put it down. We're gonna get ready. I also have 2 cups of roughly chopped pecans, and that's going to go right on top of this icing. Okay, good to go. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Super easy, right? Such an easy icing recipe. Just a little time on the stove. It's all ready to go. Oh yeah. That is really good stuff. Hands washed. And now we're just gonna pour this icing over the cake. It's so easy. The icing is still very warm because, we just had it on the stove. So icing's very warm, and it needs to be spread while warm. And just get around the whole cake. You don't have to get artsy with the icing because we're going to top the whole thing with pecans. So. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. Get every last bit here. And just sort of make sure you get all to the corners. You don't want to get a corner piece and not have icing on it. That would be a disappointed person that got that corner. Okay. Well, I got my corners covered. The whole cake is covered. I can feel the icing, getting a little stiffer as it cools down. So perfect. You got to work just a little bit fast, Now you just take your pecans and sprinkle on top. You don't have to add as many as I have here, but it sure makes it good. It sure makes it good. Now, I like walnuts. I like walnuts on this cake, but my husband likes pecans. So, guess who won that battle? At least today. All right, there we go. You can just take your hands and just kind of press those pecans down into that icing. These are a rough cut. They're not, a whole. They're not a whole half. So, but they're big enough that you can tell what they are. And they're small enough that they don't interfere with cutting of the cake. Oh, so there we are. Doesn't that look good? That looks really good. All right, I'm going to taste it for you. Man, that icing is so good. Okay, I'll take a little corner over here. And this it's beautiful on a cake plate. You just cut it off into squares. You can pile them up. Oh yeah, this is such a good cake. Oh yeah, still good, still good. That is really. It's the best cake. And it's going to be even better tomorrow. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. I hope you try it because it's really easy. And it's a cake you can make from scratch that you really, man, it is hard to mess this cake up. So this is a staple in our house. It's something I love to take to people. I know someone I'm going to have to take it to tomorrow. So yeah. This will be good. This will be good. So if you want this recipe, just go to almost-martha.com where you'll find this along with all the other recipes that I've done. And I really do hope you try it. So follow me, subscribe on YouTube and follow me on Instagram, almostmartha21. And thanks for coming by. And I'll see you next time right here at Almost Martha.